Thank you for including your work, Amy. The first thing we're going to do is go through your writing, and then we'll take a look at the work. Okay, a couple of things I want to address here. Okay, you say I checked my website for good quality that wouldn't show pixels after I changed it to 300 ppi. You can check for image quality on the 72 or whatever. It doesn't have to be 300 ppi. Changing it to 300 ppi as indicated in the announcement. Can I change a 72 ppi image to 300 ppi? You can, as long as the dimensions are big enough, right? But it's not going to improve the quality of the image. The image quality is image quality. So if you have the 72 ppi file that you want to change into 300 ppi, don't expect there to be an increase in quality changing it to 300 ppi. There won't be. What you have, quality is quality. You can't change resolution and expect the quality to improve. That's not how resolution works. So basically, you can check the quality by zooming into the image before changing it to 300 ppi. I just want to make sure that was specifically clear. I wanted to go on vacation. I hear you. I mean, I live in Cleveland, so I look out my studio window right now, and I'll tell you what, I see a picture of a ham sandwich, and makes me want to go on vacation. So I get it. I mean, it's really super gray and windy and dark and cold and nasty here. And those of you who are familiar with this part of the country certainly know what I'm saying. Okay, I made a few, just a photo. Good, good, good. This is all good. Excellent, excellent, good. Oh, this is so true. And the little mistakes that get you, you are exactly right. And that's why you need to proof it over and over again and really check your work with the requirements and the rubric, et cetera, et cetera. It gets easier. And the more experience you get, it gets easier. But you're right. You have to check every little detail as a student. I thought this was funny. I'm gonna change 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 the age of the promotion to include your son. I thought that was funny. That was cute. Thank you for including that. Yeah. All right. That's all I really need to address. Thank you for this written rationale describing your experience with the assignment. That's fantastic. A lot of times we learn as much about the way you're learning. And when I say we, I mean we instructors learn as much about the way you're learning from your writing as we do from the work. So that's fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the work. I think it's a great start. I do. Interesting. Image is pretty compelling. And I think that's interesting. This area right here is a little bit stark. We want to talk about this area and also this area right here. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, escape the everyday, relax and enjoy family time. I think it's a great combination. Right now, I think the subhead's a little too close to the headline. I would give a little space between those. This is big enough that you can just center it. Right now, it looks like a mistake because that margin's less than that margin. So this is wide enough. Just go ahead and center it. And then once you do, make sure that this is left aligned with the E. Okay, and then we'll move that down a little bit. I think it's a little bit high in the composition right now. I'd like to see that headline placed right about here. Okay, watch my cursor. Okay, then we're going to move this down and increase the body copy size a little bit. Now, once you get your headline subhead in place, let's go ahead and place a bold on that. All kids under 15 stay. Go ahead and place a bold italic on that. Okay, then make a little bit of separation between that and where the type starts. And you can also increase all of this type by 2 or 3 points. Well, let me see. This is probably 8. This is 8.5 by 11, which means this is probably 10-point type, which is probably a little small. Shoot for 12, 10 to 12. This might even be 8. The point is we want to consume a little bit more of this area right here. Watch my cursor, something like this for the body copy. Okay, so increase this space here, move it down, bold that all kids under. Okay, place it, and then a little space, and then relax it and increase that size a little bit. You might even have to pull it over. Make sure it's aligned with something, whether it's be the beginning of the E or something you want it to align with as opposed to aligning with nothing. Right now it aligns with the F, so I think that's pretty good too. We want to increase that whole thing right there. Now, as far as the bottom goes, this is a little cumbersome. And I think that we can take this. It's not going to interfere. Right now, as a matter of fact, we're going to use this leading line right here to our advantage. Right now, I'm afraid the viewer might miss the logo because as we go through the composition, we read through this, and we come to the image. Now, typically what happens is the viewer is going to look at the background image, take a look at this first, then go up to the copy, and then come back down here. This leading line right here with the arm is leading the viewer right off the page. We can use that to our advantage by placing the logo right there, so that leading line is now pointing to the logo. That's going to reinforce branding for your client. So let's take the logo, place it right here, increase the size a little bit. Watch my cursor, something like this for the logo. And then the contact information, I think we can also increase the type size on that. One thing here that's a little bit long right there, I want to show you a configuration here that works beautifully right there. So you might consider that for your configuration for your contact information. Okay, that's what I have. I'd like to see those changes reflected. If you have any questions at all, first of all, let me know. But I'd like to see those changes reflected in your final submission, which is coming up here in week 7. If you want to make those changes and resubmit here, or put it in the general questions area when you're done, the point I'm trying to make is whenever you're done with this, you want me to look at it again before your final submission in week 7, please feel free, email me, place it in the general questions area, or place it right back here. I'll be glad to make additional comments. Okay, so again, I'd like to see those recommendations reflected in your final submission. And of course, at this point, I think the most important thing is to let me know if you have any questions or if I can provide any clarification. All right, man. Oh, you know, I just want to, one more thing I want to mention. The background image, I think, is a little washed out. Okay, and the reason, let me tell you what, here's the mask image. Look at the tonal distribution of the tonal, T-O-N-A-L, the tonal distribution of the mask image. This shadow here on the arm is really dark, but there are some shadow areas in the background image that aren't showing that kind of contrast. I think the background image is lacking in contrast. I would do a levels adjustment layer and pump up the contrast in the background image. Okay, that's it. Finally, I promise that's my final recommendation. So again, questions, comments, concerns, clarifications, please let me know, and I will be glad to address anything that is needed in that regard. All right, great job. Thank you very much.